Hey YouTube, it's Jacob here, and we're bringing you another one. You know, it's just frustrating because I recorded this whole video yesterday, and then my computer crashed, and then the whole thing was deleted. I was just like, ugh, are we doing this? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Today, we're going to review Haunted Mansion. Yes. It was really good. Really good, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Okay, do not worry. This is a non-spoiler review. I like surprises, and I hope you do too. And I want you to be surprised when you go and see the movie. All right. Don't forget, I have my Patreon going. If you get the first tier, the official Patreon, you're able to get early access to my tutorials that I'm doing weekly. Okay, I have to prepare some more before next week. Oh gosh. Anyway, if you do the second tier, which is the all access Patreon, you get the free monthly wallpapers, which is prepared for desktop, computers, and phones, and we do 3 designs for each, and it's a different design each month. The month that's ready now for July is Dexter, but July is almost over, so stay tuned for a new design. What is that going to be? I don't know. Why don't you join the Patreon and find out? And if you are a VIP member, you get free digital packs each month, whether that be vectors, brushes, 3D models, what have you. Okay, right now it's the free brush pack, and that will always be free going forward after this month. All right, so let's get to this. If you haven't already, don't forget, I'm turning everything off. Don't forget to like, subscribe, push. Oh my, come on, you were going so smoothly. Don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button, because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. Gosh, jeez Louise, look, turned on the non-spoiler spoilers. Oh my gosh, you know, it's just the chaos that's upsuiting today. All right, let's try to get this thing right. All right, so let's get back to my rating. So I'm giving this movie an 8. I'm sorry, I just woke up. I didn't just wake up, but I just woke up, and I need the coughs. Okay. Okay. I'm giving this an 8 out of 5. I mean, 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good movie. Little loosey goose things we'll talk about later. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Okay. What is the vibes? What's the vibes? What's the vibes giving me? So the vibes is giving me Ghostbusters, the female version that came out a little bit ago. People didn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. Slumberland, which came out on Netflix about a year ago. I don't know, nobody was talking about it, but it was a pretty good movie, visually appealing. Oh no, it didn't come out a year ago, a few months ago actually, in like the spring. And then Goosebumps, the movie version that they did, first and second one, same type of vibes. You know, all these movies have like a horror aspect, but it's family friendly, so it's not like a scary movie. It's just themed horror, if that makes sense. And that's what I like about this movie here, the what is this? Whatever it is. Okay, Haunted Mansion. Do you need to see it in theaters? I don't think I would. Would I have seen this in the theaters? You know, I probably would have, just because it's the nostalgia of it all. I probably would have went and saw it in the theaters. But do I feel like people need to go? No, because it looks like it could just be it could have just been a Disney Plus, a really good Disney Plus movie. And that would have been just fine, to be honest. However, when you go to the theater, especially if you go early access, and I did go early, sometimes you get little gifts. Isn't that cool? It's a little pin. It's of the villain in the movie, and excuse me, it just says Haunted Mansion, Dolby Cinema, AMC. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get any cooler than that. All right. So there's always nice that you get these little gifts, and I'm glad it wasn't a poster. The posters look cool, but I'm never going to use it. Granted, I'm never going to use these either, but at least it's small, and I can put it in a bin or something when I get something to put it in. Okay. All right. Do you need to watch the previous movie? No, because this movie is very much a standalone. You can tell it was a remake. No, let me rephrase that. Like just a new version of the movie. It wasn't necessarily like a continuation. It wasn't a remake of the story. It was just a completely new version of the Haunted Mansion. There's a very thin line of that story hidden in here, but it's not about that. It's not about it. It's just finally hidden inside. But it's nice to watch it because you get a little bit of a, oh, that's cool how they brought this in, but it's okay if you miss it. It's okay if you miss it. Okay, it's directed. Now here we go with the names. Justin Simini, Sim, and Aini. See, the thing is, names are hard because it's like, where's the I go? Where's the E go? Like, I don't know. Anyway, point is, he did Dare White People. I remember seeing it. I remember liking it. I just don't remember what it was about. I just remember it being good. So I'm excited that he had a bigger project with a bigger budget, and I hope this takes him to the next level for the things that he's working on. Okay, now let's go with the cast. Gosh, the names. And there was a lot of people, and I felt like I had to say it. Now, granted, I know these names a little bit better than normal, so this is good. Okay, first of all, right here, let me tell you something. The character's name is Ben, but it's like Keith, what's his name, last name? Stanfield. So good, so good. I already knew he was a good actor, but I didn't know he was good in the family world, the family movie type world. And what I love is they didn't take away his like rustic, what's the word when you're really artsy fartsy? What's the word? Super artsy. Eclectic. He's very eclectic. They didn't really take that away or reduce it. They just allowed him to be that and family friendly. So that was really, really cool to see that. Tiffany Haddish as Harriet. She's like the psychic medium person. Loved her character so much. You know it's her. Like, it's still Tiffany Haddish. She's a big personality. But you get lost in her character, and I really like that a lot. Who doesn't love Owen Wilson? I mean, come on. Right here. Next in line here. Owen Wilson. Phenomenal job. Every time I think of him, I think of two movies. Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Moon, because I think he's in both of them. And what's the other movie? Not Nightmare Before. What's the movie? Night at the Museum. I always think of him in those two movies. I mean, who doesn't love? And then Jamie Lee Curtis, like, can she do anything wrong? Her role wasn't that big here, but it was great to see her as Madame Leota, the one in the orb. And then I seen him in the trailer, but I didn't even realize until I saw him in the movie that Danny DeVito's in this movie. Oh my gosh. He was such a delight. He was just a delightful character. His character wasn't really that important. He could have been missing from the whole movie and still would have been the same. But it was lovely to see him in this movie. And then the character who's playing Gabby, Rosinio, how do you say it? How do you say it? Rosario Dawson, who I didn't realize is Ahsoka. Didn't know that. And then this little kid here, Chase, I think it's Dylan. I can't see it here. He did a good job, but I felt at times like, oh man, it could have been a different actor. But he did a good job for what the role was. Okay. Okay, moving on. Okay, the villain is played by Jared Leto. And I don't want to talk too much about the villain because I don't want to give too much away. However, I like to go over my the villain list. So he falls under the category of like a mastermind, and he also falls under the category of personification of evil. There's other little bad guys, but they're kind of just following his bid. So he kind of is the head honcho of the situation. Okay. So what is the message? This one was hard because there's a few messages. Some are big, some are small. I think maybe the first message is love is not always said, but felt. So sometimes, of course, I do believe there's the 5 love languages. I do like to hear it. Me personally, I do like to hear I love you from the people who love me. So I like hearing it, but feeling it and knowing it through their actions and through their being is also important. And I think that was a little bit of the strand of this movie. Another thing that wasn't really said, but I felt like was a strand of a message was there's a reason for everything. So sometimes you kind of question why certain characters are doing certain things, but there's always a reason. There's always a reason why people do certain things. And that wasn't the point or purpose of this movie, but I felt like it was said without being said. And I really liked that. That was really, really cool. What could be better? You know, I added this category because I'm always like, it's amazing. And I'm like, no, nothing's perfect. So there got to be a flaw. I don't care if I give it a 10 out of 10. What's the flaw? So, for this one, I would say the ending was underwhelming. Like, I thought the ending could have been grander. Granted, it has some grandness to it, but I just expected something bigger. I don't know. And it didn't do it the way I wanted. But other than that, I mean, it was a really good movie, very entertaining. Okay, the cinematography, nothing too crazy like when they're outside the mansion. We'll talk about that when we get into world design. But when they're inside the mansion, I mean, it's like, it's buzzing, like it's exciting in there. Like you always want to be in there because that's where all the fun is at. And even just from this, it's a Dutch angle, a lot of Dutch angles, a lot of what do you call it? Heroic angles and heroic shots. There's a lot of like fun wackiness going on in this movie that I really, really enjoyed when it came to the cinematography. Of course, the lighting was very fun and playful. The dark, even just in this shot, you can see the warm from the light, the coolness of the moon or the windows. I really love that look quite a bit. Okay. Animation, CGI. Of course, there's a lot of animation in here, a lot of CGI in here because it's a very whimsical, I would say cartoony, but you know, very wacky film. So it has to have a lot of animation, CGI. There was never a moment where I was pulled out. Sometimes it's like, that wasn't real. You know, none of this stuff is real. So you accept anything that is a little off because you know it's not real anyway. So there's a side of you just kind of like taking it in as it is. And I really like that about this movie for sure. Okay. Music, cinematography, nothing seriously like, whoa, they really, you know, but just enough to keep the movie going. It's not a slow movie at all. It starts a teeny bit slower than I would want, but not slow enough to be like, that was slow beginning. It was pretty good, and I think the music is always the contributor to how fast a movie can feel, and I think it did a phenomenal job. Okay, let's talk about world design. Okay, like I mentioned before, the Haunted Mansion itself, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It was just fun, wacky. There's a shot in the beginning where it's very like dusty and everything, really cool. And then throughout the movie, it's more clean and lit up and warm, even though everything's dead. I really love that. Now, what a shot I want to specifically talk about, this is actually the stretching room. So you got to realize this movie is unique because this movie is a movie based on a ride at Disney World. That's how Disney can make a ride and then make a movie based upon a ride. Okay, so this is not the first time they've done that. Obviously, the original one, and then Jungle Cruise that came out with The Rock. That's based off a ride. Pirates of the Caribbean is based off the Disney ride. It's not. It has no other stem, but I don't know what they stemmed it off of from before that. But the point is that movie was based off the ride. So I find that to be a fascinating phenomenon because no one does that. So that's really cool. But I don't think they did this effect. They did more effects from the ride in this movie than they did in the previous movie. And I really respect that. And in real life, you're just on an elevator and the ceiling is just open. But because the way it's designed, it feels like the room is just stretching because, our brains are dumb. And they did the scene, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but the way they did it in the movie, I loved it so much. They really brought it to a cinematic look, that room, and I really enjoyed that. Okay, this could be another negative to the movie. In the Haunted Mansion, the first one with Eddie Murphy, the graveyard was alive as well. No pun intended. The graveyard was very active. You felt like the graveyard was a part of the house. It was the backyard of the house or whatever. In this movie, it was very much like it's there, but we're not exploring that. We're exploring the mansion, not the graveyard. And I don't know if that was a missed opportunity or they just have enough time or it was too much or budget, whatever. But I felt that was a little bit of a down. This is not the best picture of the real world, but as you can see from the temperature of the real world is very real world gray and tan. That's what the real world looks like. It's very giving The Office. And this is no shot to The Office. The Office should look like that because that's a part of the comedy. It's supposed to look flat while the characters are alive and crazy. But this also should look like this because the point of this is that the liveliness is where all the dead people are, and the deadness is where all the live people are. That's the energy they're trying to put off here. So nothing really special there. However, It's set in New Orleans, which is really awesome. I didn't have a good shot of New Orleans. It doesn't have that same whimsical. It doesn't have the whimsicalness of like Tiana, Princess Tiana and the Frog, where they're in New Orleans. Not quite the same. But Ben's house, it's kind of like low key really fly. Like they made it really dusty because he dusty, so the house is dusty. But I'm like, but dang, if you just dust it up, this is a really nice looking house. So I just really like the way his house was designed. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay. And then costume design. Pretty good. I don't think they're going to win. Barbie's probably going to win costume design awards because there was a bunch of costumes all over the place. They're probably going to win that. They did a good job though. I think Tiffany Haddish did a really, really good job. She was believable. And I think her costumes, because she changed her costumes often. So I really like that. Jamie Lee Curtis had a costume as well. I thought the costume looked phenomenal. I just didn't understand the costume and why it looked the way it did. That was a little confusing to me. That did pull me out the movie. I was just like, why is she wearing that? It looked cool, but I just didn't understand. Maybe there's a reason why the mediums dressed like that at that time, and I'm sure they did research, but it was really throwing me off. Everybody else kind of had on a little bit older school type of clothing, but nothing really too crazy. End credit. There's no end credit scene, nothing hinted to it, or anything like that. However, is there going to be a second movie? I don't think so. It doesn't feel like it will be. It would be nice because of the way it ended. It was very happy, of course, so it was nice to see. It would be nice to see that group of people again in another movie, but the chances of them doing that probably not happening. So what's the conclusion? Overall, absolutely really good movie, very family friendly. I think everyone's going to enjoy it. Do I think it's going to make a lot of money in the box office? I don't know, because I don't know if people are streaming to go see that, but it's definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing when it does hit digital or Apple, Disney Plus or whatever it's going to be. So I'm excited. Next week is Ninja Turtles. I think I'm going Monday or early access. I'm excited. I'm a little frustrated because they have a green apple icy at Disney. I mean at Disney. Where am I? At AMC, and it's for Ninja Turtles. I only had it one time. Every time I've been there, it hasn't been there. So I'm like, all right now, and I've been there at least once a week for like a month, and it hasn't been there. What's going on? So now that Ninja Turtles is out, I better see it because it was the best slushie they got, and I hope they keep it because it was the best one. That's probably why they took it off the shelves, because they want people to be hype about it. So they better have it on Ninja Turtle Day. I'm very excited about that. All right, if you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification, because we're gonna keep bringing this stuff to you. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? I know you're not about to leave. It's mad buttons down there. You ain't pushed on one of them. You better subscribe to my channel. See you soon.